Dr. Jeffrey Kurtz. I'm a doctor of chiropractic and a chiropractic sports physician. This weekend we had the Crossfit Open Workout 17.4. It was 55 deadlifts, 55 wall balls, 55 handstand push-ups, and 55 calorie row. The deadlifts were pretty heavy to require 55 lifts. It was very easy to get tired and lose your form if you didn't pace yourself. What we're going to go over today is what happens in your back during the deadlift, and what happens when you do it wrong, and what happens when you do it right, and then also what we can do about it if you happen to strain your back or injure yourself during this workout. So, here is our spine. When we bend forward, we can do it a couple different ways. We can bend at the hips from here, in which case the whole pelvis bends forward, and we bend at the hips. Okay, but we keep our back straight. The other way we can do it is we can bend through the spine. So we can flex right through the lumbar spine, so, and then bend forward. Okay, now we all know that this is a bad way to lift things. What happens exactly is that when our back is straight, if we look at it from this angle, when our back is straight, there is the joints here and here are pressed together. Okay, they're not compressed, but they're approximated. That means that they're pushing up against each other with a normal amount of force, and it's pretty stable here. It allows a little movement, but it's pretty stable for the most part. Now, when we bend forward and we round our low back like this, then these joints open up right in here. And then we have much more movement here and much more movement here. Okay, especially around L5, which is the last lumbar vertebrae. Okay, now when we have an unstable vertebrae or lumbar spine, such as that, it is very, very stressful on these discs here. Okay, especially this bottom one. And what can happen is if we happen to round our back even just a little, it increases the pressure by hundreds of pounds per square inch. Okay, in the disc. And what happens is that by leaning forward, there's a jelly center in the disc that gets pressed back from front to back. Okay, and it just like as if we were to stand on a jelly donut. On one end, the jelly would shoot out the other end. And as we bend forward and this becomes unstable, it starts to tear some of these fibers in the disc. Okay, and it creates a weak spot, usually in the back. Okay, so when this comes forward, it starts to push the gel from front to back. Okay, and then eventually what can happen is a weak spot can develop, and then a nice protrusion can occur. Okay, now as you can see here, a protrusion comes out usually on the side here, and it starts to push on this nerve coming out. Okay, now if the pressure is large enough here, the pain can go down from anywhere from into the buttock region to the knee, or even down into the foot. Okay, depending on the level of this nerve, whether it's this nerve, or the one above it, it will show up in different parts of the leg. Now, what do we do about this? This is a perfectly treatable condition. A lot of times there's a laminectomy surgery, okay, where they cut this part out and then they excise the protrusion here, although that most of the time is not necessary. Most of the time these can be treated conservatively and non-invasively. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about here is exactly what I do to treat a disc herniation and disc compression in general. Okay, I have a special table which allows me to be very specific with my traction force. Now, traction is when we pull the spine apart in this direction. Okay, now general traction tables, You will wear a girdle around your waist and lay on your back or your stomach, and it will pull your pelvis downwards and stretch out your spine in this direction. However, it's not specific. It stretches out all the levels of the vertebrae. Okay. Now, with my table and my technique, what I can do is I can isolate which disc I'm going to treat. So, say for example we have a protrusion here. What I would do here is I would hold this vertebrae steady so it doesn't move, and then the table will flex at the hips, at the waistline, just like that. Now, as you can see, when I open this up, okay, it's going to allow a lot more room here and give some relief to this nerve with pressure on it. Okay. The other thing that occurs is that there is a vacuum created on the inside of the disc, and so when I traction this disc specifically, it will actually pull this protrusion back in. So what happens then is that as we do this and the vacuum pulls it in, over the course of several treatments, we can pull that protrusion back in. A new scar will form over this area, and then the scar tissue is actually stronger than the disc material and the disc tissue itself. So the chance of re-herniation here, or having it get worse, with the exception of a few circumstances, but in general, if you take care of your back, the chance of this re-herniating or getting worse is relatively slim.
Here you can see I'm stabilizing L5, and as the table is flexing, I'm moving the sacrum away from L5. This is pumping the L5 disc and decreasing the pressure inside of it, also known as decompression. Now I'm going to go in a figure 8 pattern, which will open up the joints on either side and also make more room for a compressed nerve depending on the side. You'll open up that side and then also traction the joint at the same time. This is a very gentle technique and is only to the patient's tolerance.
If you happen to injure yourself in this workout, feel free to write me either on my box talk page or on my website. You can check out my website at drkurtz.de and contact me through email if you like. I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. And if you happen to need a treatment and you're in the Munich area, then I can get you in right away. Hopefully everything went okay, and I'm looking forward to 17.5 and the final workout of the CrossFit Open of 2017. I'm going to regionals this year as part of the medical staff. I've been the last 2 years, and I can tell you from experience that during these deadlift activities, whether it's AMRAP snatches or deadlifts themselves, even the high-end people push it very hard. So it's important to, and injure their backs. So it's very important to understand what CrossFit is. CrossFit is a sport, and it also happens to make you fit. So it is important to train for the sport and to recognize when you are injured. The part of the responsibility is your trainer. They will modify your workout to suit an injury that you may have or a little nagging pain. But if the pain is lasting quite a while or it's getting worse, then it is very important that you get it checked out by a qualified professional, such as a doctor or maybe a physio, or especially somebody that specializes in CrossFit injuries or Olympic weightlifting injuries, such as myself. So if you have any questions, write me. Thanks a lot for your attention, and good luck next week.